Hello, Heidi, and thank you so much for being here with us today to share your experience.
Hi, Selene. Thanks for having me. It's great to talk to you.
Why don't you start with introducing yourself before we talk about your journey? Can you let the people watching this interview know maybe who you are, where you are living, and what is it that you do?
Sure. So I live in Sydney, Australia, and I have a background in environmental science and environmental management, and also in environmental education. I took a detour for about 10 years into urban planning and government policy because that's what I thought would be the best way that I could help to save the planet by influencing the sustainability of cities. So after about 10 years, I discovered that wasn't the case, ultimately due to political agendas getting in the way. So I realized that the best approach was actually from the bottom up rather than from the top down. So then I decided about 5 or 6 years ago that I wanted to start my own business in, I guess, environmental education and sustainability. And yeah, so I have created that business now. It is called Earth Ethic, and so it's an initiative that is aimed at educating primarily women aged 30 to 60 who are just starting to wake up to the impact that they're having on the planet.
All right.
Yeah.
No, I was actually going to ask you, do you want to add anything about Earth Ethic?
Yeah, so basically I will be creating a series of time-saving courses that will help people to live more consciously in terms of consumption and waste. And the first one I will be creating will be focused on food. And so that it will basically help people to make more sustainable and ethical choices around food and healthier choices. So they'll be helping themselves as well as helping the planet. And it will also promote sustainable products, so helping them to transition to a more conscious life. Yeah, so that's pretty much the gist of it at this stage.
Wonderful, wonderful. And by the time this video is out in the world, I'll keep on adding links under the video whenever your courses are live and developed for people to gain access to them with the magic of the internet. If someone is watching us 2 years down the line, they'll have the newest thing that you would have created by then. So excellent. Thank you for your introduction. I actually, before digging into how you created that business, I just wanted to give you a chance to let us know why this cause that you have chosen of, supporting women from 30 to 60, as you said, and help them save time in order to switch to more eco-conscious consumption. Why is that important according to you?
Sure. So my cause is basically, it's fairly general, so helping people to have a more positive impact on the planet. But I did, I guess, to begin with, I have focused primarily on the issue of plastic in the oceans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I guess, that is a really, the oceans are in a crisis at the moment, and we need to take massive and urgent action if we're going to save them. And the best way that we can do that is to reduce our use of disposable plastic. And so that is one of the key things that my courses will focus on.
All right.
And then, yeah, I also have interest and knowledge in I guess the sustainability and ethics of food. And so the importance of that is that we're exposed to so many toxins through what we put in and on our bodies, and that's causing things like disease and infertility, lots of different issues like that. And then there's also the environmental impacts of food production and animal welfare issues. And, when we're talking about 7 billion people, that's a pretty significant impact. So I also want to, I guess, raise people's awareness about those issues and help them to be able to make more conscious choices.
Wonderful. We can really feel how deeply you're passionate about the topic.
Yes, I am.
All right, so you mentioned that you had in mind to start your own business 5-6 years ago already. Can you share with us, before we started working together, before you joined the program, what was your situation back then? It was a little less than a year ago.
Yeah. So while I had decided, like you said, I decided to start my business about 5 years earlier. When I met you, I was still somehow stuck in a corporate job where I'd been for more than 10 years. And I had just seen a documentary about the issue of plastic pollution in the world's oceans. And it made me realize how bad the situation was and how urgent it was. And so it was a huge wake-up call for me, and that was the defining moment. So when I thought, okay, enough stuffing around, I'm going to start my business right now.
All right. And what did you expect or hope for when you decided to join the program then?
I guess I was mainly hoping to know how to make a business out of educating people and marketing sustainable products, because I had no idea what was involved or what that would look like.
So were you looking more for like, I don't know, ways to monetize your expertise, or was it also like step-by-step business principles? If you can look back at, what your expectations were at the time, or maybe fears that you had.
It was just having no idea, I guess. Like, I never had my own business before. I didn't have a clue about what I was doing. I hardly used at the time social media. I'm Generation X, so I'm, not as with it as Gen Y and younger people. But yeah, I guess I was after that step-by-step methodology, like where to begin and how to make money from it.
And then what made you decide to work with me in particular?
Well, I Googled sustainable business model, and there you were. And I guess, being young and female helped because I could relate to you. But I think it was also from the information on your website, I felt that you understood my predicament, that you, I guess the fear and the uncertainty I had in wanting to start my own business for the first time. And yeah, that was, I guess, that was what made me realize, I think, that you would be able to give me the guidance that I needed.
And then back at the time when you watch the documentary, you're like, no more waiting around. Now is the time. I'm gonna start my business. And you learn about what I do and the programs I offer. How did you then make the decision to invest money into the program, but also starting your business overall? Like, was it a hard decision to make? How did you make this decision? Because you had this full-time job for 10 years that was like comfortable. So yeah, I would love for you to share your experience around that, because I know it's something that can cause a lot of questions for people who are looking at starting their own environmental friendly or socially friendly businesses as well.
Yeah, sure. So I was lucky. My corporate job was well paid, so I had enough money in the bank to cover the costs. And I guess, I'm also a firm believer in if you do something, do it properly. So once I commit to something, I'm prepared to invest what it takes to learn what I need to know. So yeah, but I guess what was a bit challenging was the fact that I had been in the corporate world my whole career, and this had the security of that, the financial security. So it was, I guess it was sort of a leap of faith, or, it was really getting out of my comfort zone to actually leave that job, which I gradually transitioned out of it. So I was lucky, because I'd been there so long, I had long service leave, and I was able to take that combined with annual leave and leave at reduced pay. So I had about 6 months altogether, and I traveled a little bit in that time. So I guess, and then I finally resigned at the end of January this year. So yeah, there was a little bit of fear there, but I guess I knew, because this was my passion, like this is my life's purpose, to do this work. That's what I just was trusting in that. So I just followed my gut, I guess, and my heart.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. And then I'm curious for you to share as well, if we fast forward to now, basically what has been the milestone you have reached, and since you quit your job, what has been your business developments about? What are the results of the program, basically?
So I've learned so much about what's involved in starting a business from this, two of your programs that I did. And, there's no way I could have done it without having done your programs. I guess, it's helped me on so many levels, like the technical side of it, as well as things like mindset as well. So it's given me, the tools and resources and methodologies. But it's also, I guess, shown me how to deal with things like procrastination and fear. And the things that I need to put in place in order to reach my goals.
All right, awesome. Yeah, it's really these two sides, right? The technical ones and then the mindset ones. Although most of the time when we think we are gonna start a business, we worry about the technical aspect of things, as you mentioned a bit earlier. And we often totally overlook the mindset side of things. And that's one thing we worked a lot on together. And it does make a huge difference. What would you say was the biggest change for you then in this last year?
Probably would be realizing that I can actually do this. I think when I first started, the thought of stepping out in the world, it brought up a lot of fear and overwhelm for me. And you know, working through these programs with you, it's really brought me to a place where I believe more in myself and in my ability. And I can, and now I feel really positive about my business and about my future.
Wonderful. And what would you say then to people who are in the situation you were a couple of months back? They are looking at starting their business, but they have all those fears and all this uncertainty, and they hesitate to get into a mentoring program, whether that's with me or with someone else, actually. What would you say to them in terms of investing in themselves and getting support?
I would absolutely say go for it. The programs are just such amazing value, and I got so much out of them. And yeah, like I said before, I couldn't imagine having started my business without having done them and without the support that they've given me. And I'll talk about you in the third person. Selene gave me exactly what I needed every step of the way. So she was very supportive, but she was also a great motivator. So she helped me to stand on my own 2 feet, which I think is what all entrepreneurs need. And yeah, so I would say that if you're serious about starting your business and you want to give it the best chance of succeeding, then I would say absolutely work with Selene.
Oh, thank you so much. I love the third person. I feel so important now. No, but yeah, I really appreciate you sharing that. And what you said about standing on your own 2 feet, it's crucial. And I have been mentored myself to stand on my own 2 feet. And I'm so glad I can share it forward with people who share my values, like you, and everything we have shared in this journey, and the confidence you have now. You're gonna carry it out, and it's gonna have some ripple effect of impact on your overall journey as the founder of Earth Ethics. So I'm so glad for you, and I can't wait to see all the impact that Earth Ethics creates. And it was a pleasure for me to work with you. Do you have any final word?
Just to say thank you again. It was great working with you, and I feel so lucky, is that the word, to have found you. And yeah, that it was just so valuable and empowering. So thank you.